Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
The storm doesn't ask. It takes. It tests. It pushes everything to its limit. Some things are built different. Some things are built to last. Tested by the elements. Proven by time. Engineered for whatever comes next. Summertown Metals. Strength in every storm. Building dreams that last.
Working with Gina was great because she really knows this area. I gave her the specifications of what I was looking for, and she took me right to my forever home.
I met Gina when she sold my son's home within 5 days after it hit the market. With my home, from the day the sign hit the yard to the day we signed the papers, Gina was there every step of the way. Her involvement in the sale of my home was the best decision that I made.
We never felt like Gina was pushing us to make a deal with a buyer. She knew what we wanted, and she worked diligently to get us the best offer for our properties.
Working hard for my clients to make their dreams come true. Let me work for you.
Pat's Cafe and Catering has been proudly serving customers in Lawrenceburg since 1987. For 4 generations, our family-run cafe has served up delicious breakfast and lunch favorites with friendly service and a welcoming atmosphere. We also offer full-service catering and can help to make your next party or event a success. For great food and friendly faces, visit us today at Pat's Cafe and Catering.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome everybody in here to the X Sports Network for this Friday edition of the Mark My Words Sports Show. And we are going to jump right into it because we have a lot to get to today. We are going to sort of finish up some high school basketball talk next week. Well, next week I'll be gone, so I would say in 2 weeks we'll get to start talking about some high school baseball, some high school softball. But we will jump right in with it on the basketball side. So we will start first with Lawrence County High School. On the girls' side, finished the season 16-13 overall, 5-4 in the district. We're the district tournament champs, first time in 10 years. They made it all the way to the region semifinals. Ryan Hughes, a member of the all-region team. Listen, 16-13 had a great year, dealt with a ton of injuries, and with their 2 seniors, especially Tennant and Statham, really banged up there at the end of the year. But with the team with only 2 seniors, that means you have a lot of pieces returning. This is a very young Lawrence County team, so I expect them to be back and better than ever next year. On the boys' side of things, 6-23 overall, 1-7 in district play. Made it to the region semifinals. Jake Moore on the all-region team with seniors Dirks Boyd, Gavin Glass, and Dusty Osborne. Again, another example of a team with a lot of youth coming back. Again, a great sign, and things are only moving up. Lawrence County made a pretty exciting run there at the end of the year, and hopefully that's something that they can build off of and carry into next year. So now on to Summertown High School on the boys' side, 22-6 overall on the season, finished 6-2 in district play. They were the district tournament champs, but were unfortunately eliminated in the region semifinals. Leighton Sherman, a member of the all-region team, and then with a large senior class out of Summertown with both Sawyer and Leighton Sherman, Jackson Bennett, Graham Howell, and Andrew Mabry. Now, do have 3 teams done for the season, but that does mean we have 3 teams still active on the year, and we will stay on the north side of the county at Summertown with their girls. Currently 19-12 on the season, 3-5 in district play. We're the district tournament runner-up, region runner-up. Ellie Lou Mason and Ella Busby on the member of that all-region team, and this is a very talented defensive team from Summertown. Got the game up over my left shoulder. The girls' game from the other night was really exciting, high scoring up and down, and I think that was good for both teams to have going into what could be very difficult sub-state matchups, I would assume, and we'll get into those in a minute. So we will move to the south side of the county now with Loretta High School, where their girls are currently 21-10 on the season, 6-2 in district play. They were the district tournament champs. They were the region tournament champs. All-region team, you had Jessie Chance, Sophie Weathers, and then Allie Augustine as your region MVP. Listen, I've followed this team most of the year. Extremely impressed with the way they play on both sides of the ball. Obviously, point-wise, the total against Summertown was much higher than they're used to, but you go back and look at their games in the postseason this year, it is just insane. Giving up, I think it was 29 points in the region tournament, or in the district tournament, average over the 2 games, and then, they make it to the region tournament, and the defense doesn't wear off one bit. Again, first round game held a team to 33. Second round held a team to 30. And then in the championship, Summertown scored 52. But that's rivals. I throw out all statistics when it comes to rivalry games. So looking at Region 6, that is who Region 5 is matched up with for sub-state. We'll talk about the sub-state matchups in a second. But again, Loretta's girls 21-10 on the season. Only one senior, Jessie Chance, but able to have one more home game. Chance went 4-0 in region championships, so pretty used to hosting sub-state at this point, and a very rare occurrence that you get a player that can do that all 4 years there in high school. And so congrats to Jessie, and then obviously that whole Lady Mustang squad. Now on the boys' side, the Mustangs 18-10 on the season. They were the district regular season champs. They were the district tournament runner-up and the region tournament champs. All region teams, Case and Springer, had an outstanding game last night against Lewis County. Had 9 points, hit 2 huge threes for the Mustangs. Mason Tidwell as well. What more can I say about him? 24 points in the first game of the region tournament. A bit of a slow one with only 14 against Cascade, and then finishes last night with, I believe, 23 points, or 24, but outstanding game from Tidwell. And then your region MVP, Colin Wilkerson, and again, just like Mason was fantastic in region tournament, district tournament, you name it, he was there. Had a big game against Summertown in the district championship. Both of them did. Went for 20 points. They both went for 24 against Riverside. Both in that 14, 16, 18-point range against Cascade, but that was a much more potent Mustangs offense that night. Everybody was getting in on the scoring. And then last night goes for 23, hits a ton of huge free throws down the stretch, and a well-deserved MVP for Kylan Wilkerson. So again, we started the week with 6 teams down to 3, but excitingly enough, all 3 of them big sub-state games. So we will start with Summertown. The Lady Eagles on the road following their region championship loss will be traveling to a place they are very familiar with, Huntington. And listen, the Huntington's girls basketball team is one of the better ones in all of 2A in Tennessee basketball. So looking at the Phillies real quick. So little preview on Huntington girls basketball: 23-0 or 27-3, not 23-0, 27-3 on the season, 6-0 in district to play. Looking at some of their losses, it was a opening loss to Smith County by 5 points. Smith County is traveling in a sub-state after a 1-point loss to a team that many think is one of the best in the state. To a Pickett County team who actually got eliminated in their region semifinal. But then you look down the season, they have a win over Loretto by 10 points. Looking at some other schools that they've played you're familiar with, their last loss came on December 20th against Gibson County. And funny enough, that Gibson County team is hosting a sub-state game. So you look at 2 of their 3 losses this season, they're teams that are still playing right now in 2A. It's not going to be an easy matchup. And, looking at some of their last scores, I don't know the last time they've been pushed. We'll go back to, I guess we'll just go to the start of the year. They haven't had a close game all year, literally. 62-33, 60-25. A 2-0 forfeit win, but 74-28, 77-17, 69-33, 87-25, 68-20, 81-24, 78-29, 65-20, 91-26, 57-22, and then only a 7-point win against Stewart County in that region championship game. Closest game they've had, I guess, since they played Greenfield or Gibson County a little bit later, because they played Gibson County a week later and beat them by 15 after Gibson County had beat them the week before. They got wins over Greenfield, who is going to be one of the better teams in 1A. Only 2 losses on the season for them, and one of them was to Huntingdon, and the other one to Gibson County. So that area of West Tennessee is insane when it comes to high school girls basketball. You got Gibson County, you got Huntingdon, you've got Stewart County is around that area. They're very good. Westview, we know how good Westview is, so a ton of talented basketball up in that area and a very talented team. And I would, love it if the Lady Eagles are able to play at home, because I know traveling and playing in Summertown's gym for somebody that's not used to it's a bit of an adjustment, especially, when you're playing in all these big gyms in region tournament play and stuff like that. Can be a bit of a test, but it is at Huntingdon. It's going to be tough for the Lady Eagles, but you look at Summertown. You take out Loretto, and this team really only has 3 or 4 losses on the year. Loretto's has kind of been their Achilles heel, but you look, a couple point loss to Cascade. Well, they're gone. A couple point loss to Community. They're not around anymore. It's going to be some big games, and listen, with the way that Summertown, showed up against Loretto, I think that they're going to be as ready as ever for Huntingdon. It is a long trip up there, but listen, it's March. Anything can happen. Records, you can throw them out. They don't matter at this point. It's just you got to win by 1 point. So again, Summertown at Huntingdon. That game will be tomorrow on the X Sports Network at 7 o'clock. Again, we should have full coverage here on the X Sports Network. On the Mustang side of things, for the Lady Mustangs, 21-10 on the season. They are going to be taking on Stewart County, who is 27-5. A rematch, actually, of the exact sub-state game the Lady Mustangs had last year. Stewart County at home. Now, one thing to kind of pay attention to with the Stewart County team, last year they were 25-8, and their season ended in Loretto with a 56-50 loss to Loretto. So they're a very, very good team. 27-5 this year. You look at some of their losses. Again, a 10-point loss to Greenfield. We know how good Greenfield is. We've talked about them. A 7-point loss to Houston County. I would attribute that to maybe an off night. Now Wayne nothing against Houston County. They made it all the way to the Region 6A semifinals, but I would assume that one. I would attribute that one to more of an off night. Do have a loss to a 17-14 Clarksville Academy team. And then a loss to a Creekwood team by 6, and that Creekwood team was 24-5. So you know how good they are. And then a 7-point loss to Huntingdon. So this is a good team. You can sit here and try to pick and be like, ooh, maybe they lost to this team, blah blah blah. It's sub-state, and I can only assume that since their record has gotten better than last year, that they're returning a lot of players from last year that remember that game, and now they have the ability to avenge it. For the Lady Mustangs looking to make it back to the Murphy Center, because they kind of have a loss to avenge. Made it all the way to the Final Four last year. Would like to see if they could bring home a gold ball this year. So we'll move on over to the boys' side of things with the Loretto Mustangs. Again, very exciting district region championship win over Lewis County. You see it over my shoulder. Right before that layup right there, 8-0. That was the largest margin until the end of the game. It was a 2-point game, 5-point game, 4-point game, or really the entire game. Was incredible. Mustangs defense held a team that was scoring nearly 70 points a game to 53, and they played 40 minutes. They played 2 overtimes. That was a college game, minutes-wise. And Mustangs have scored over 60 points the entire region tournament, went for 75, 65, and 63. You got to like it if you're the Mustangs, because it has been defense this year. It's, offense is only averaging about 53, 54 points a game. It's been their defense. Now that the offense is putting up points, I think it makes them just as scary as anybody. So the Mustangs will be taking on a fellow Mustang in Huntingdon. They'll make the trip down to Loretto on Monday. This Huntingdon team supposed to play Loretto a couple times this year. It was supposed to play at Huntingdon, I believe, at Loretto. It was supposed to play at the FedEx Forum in Memphis, but unfortunately weather and other things led those games to being canceled. So funny enough, they're going to play after all here in the Class A sectional. 17-7 on the year, very high-powered offense. Looking at some of their losses, a team out of Missouri, a loss to University School of Jackson. They're really good. A loss to Waverly in a district game. So some kind of confusing outcomes here. They have some games where they'll lose 89-68, but then they'll have games where they can win 51-42 against Milan. They I believe in the regular season actually split with Milan and split with Waverly. So it was a Milan and Huntingdon first round of the district tournament matchup, and Milan won. Huntingdon got fourth in their district tournament. But I think that you can also attribute that to matchups. They got matched up with the two teams that beat them that year, but then they get to the region quarterfinal, beat Cheatham County, and that was a very good Cheatham County team. Beat them by 3, beat Harpeth by 30, and Harpeth has had a great year. Lost to 8 to Milan. Again, I look at this district a lot like I look at the district. I believe it was District 9 for Loretto and Summertown and Cascade Community on the boys and girls side. Extremely difficult to nobody went undefeated. Even the first place teams had some losses. So. Looking at this one, I really don't know what to tell you, because looking at some of these scores that Huntingdon's putting up, they like to score a lot. But you look at, start of the tournament play, they scored 52, 53, 52, 72, 46. So offense not as high octane, because, you can look back at some of their early season games, 89, 85, 71, 69, 85, 76, 72, 77, 89. They didn't score below 69 points until December 30th, and then 90 points, 80 points, 68, 77, 51, 67, 47, 77, 55, and then the tournament play that I mentioned started. It seems like talented defensive teams, because I know Milan is extremely talented defensively and physical. It seems like those have been the teams that they have had problems with. Are going to have the long drive. Huntingdon and Loretto, it feels like they play every year in at least 2 sports. So, it feels like they should be right down the road, but it is definitely a trip. About 2 hours, 15 minutes, and that's from here in Lawrenceburg. So, about a 2.5 hour trip. Not easy. Not easy at all. That game will be, again, Monday, March 9th at 7 p.m. at Loretto. We will have all the coverage for that one here on the X Sports Network. So that will do it for all of our high school basketball talk. Again, when we return for our next show, we will get you caught up in everything with high school baseball. So that will do it for our high school segment. We will be back in a minute. Talk a little college sports. That's when we return on the Mark My Words Sports Show.
Gifts and goodies galore await you at Miss Millie's in downtown Lawrenceburg. From brands you know and love, like E. Newton Jewelry and Tyler Diva Wash, to unique specialty gifts, you will find it all here. Whether you're looking for the perfect gift for someone you love or shopping for yourself, shopping local is the way to go. We have home goods, women's fashion and accessories, baby items, and lots of seasonal decorations. Our friendly staff will welcome you in, help you find what you need, and even package your gifts for you. Also, we can't forget to tell you about our popular bridal registry. Future brides can come and create their perfect registry with us. So stop by Miss Millie's today. We're located in the northeast corner of the square in downtown Lawrenceburg.
Welcome to Mid-South Barndominiums. We realize there's a lot of options when it comes to finding a builder for your next home. Here at Mid-South, we understand that customer service, quality, and selections are very important. It's a very large time, money, and an emotional investment, and we're here to listen and care. We realize the kitchen's the most used and abused room in the house. Our cabinets are locally custom made from Sanderson cabinets out of Lawrenceburg. They're real wood, poplar or maple, whether you paint or stain. All comes with slow close hardware and many pull-out different style options to choose from.
Bring your outdoor dreams to life at Loretto Nursery and Landscaping. This one-stop shop can help you get your project done from start to finish. Go see for yourself. They have a wide variety of plants, from tropicals to ferns and trees, plus hanging baskets. What they have to offer goes beyond what looks good. They also supply concrete, mulch, compost, and drainage culverts. Don't forget about their on-lot buildings and chicken coops. You think that's all? You can also stop by to fill up your propane tank. Loretto Nursery and Landscaping has you covered. Stop by 409 South Military Street.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome back to the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. I'm your host, Michael Marks, and we are going to jump right into sports because some college basketball, because folks, in about, 10 days, 11 days now? Whatever the date of next Sunday is, that's the 15th, so 9 days from now, we're going to have a bracket in our hands, which is the most exhilarating feeling of all time. I mean, I love getting a new bracket out. I don't care if Tennessee's the number one team in the country or in the NIT. I don't care. The NCAA tournament is the, in my opinion, second most fun postseason in all of sports. And that's just because I'm a baseball guy and I love the College World Series and regionals and super regionals. I'm a sicko for that. But college basketball, definitely, and for the general public, it is 10 times more exciting than college baseball. I'm just a college baseball guy. But we will first take a look at, let's look at the top 25. It's been a while since we've had a show, so we'll make sure we get everything up and running. We did talk about the top 25 last time because I was surprised that Tennessee had only dropped one spot despite going 0-2 on the week. We can look at some stuff that's happened this week. Big games going on. We will start back on... We'll start on Monday. Duke taking down NC State 93-64. Kind of a strange interaction before the game with, I believe it was Kadir Copeland. And if not, it was Paul McNeil. I can't remember which one it was, but it was before the game, and just a strange interaction, and then NC State got beat by 30. Cam Boozer was Cam Boozer, 26-9. I feel like this was one of the better offensive games for Duke as a team. 4 guys in double figures. Patrick Gongba goes for 11-5. You get 16-9 from Dame Sarr. Isaiah Evans hits 4 threes for 12 points. Caleb Foster with 6 points, 7 assists. And maybe the most impressive stat, one of the more impressive stats I've seen all season, the starting lineup combined for 2 turnovers. I mean, that's just outstanding. And really nobody in foul trouble either. And, they out-rebounded and out-assisted and had less turnovers and killed them on the offensive glass. That's what Duke's going to do to you. They're just going to big body you. They're going to big boy you, and that's how it's going to go. Arizona taking down Iowa State 73-57. Cyclones have started to sort of linger here at the end of the year. Momcilovic has by far his worst game. It may be actually his worst game of the year. And looking at some of their losses on the year, it's games when he doesn't play well. Other than the Cincinnati game where he had 34 points and they still lost, but 11 points and a 20-point loss to Kansas, 11 points and a 7-point loss to TCU, 5 points and a 10-point loss to BYU. It goes for 20 against Texas Tech in that loss, but so far they've lost. What was that, 3 in their last 4? Definitely not. I'm not saying it's time to worry, but definitely want to pay attention a little bit closer. They're 3-4 in their last 7 games, and it's like, oh, that's win one, lose one, but top 5 teams in the country aren't supposed to do that. We'll go to Tuesday, where we had a ton of ranked matchups. Everyone in the SEC had to get their last games out of the way because nobody has a bye week on the last week, and the SEC Women's Tournament starts on Wednesday, so that's got to get full coverage. So all the games were on Tuesday for the SEC. We'll start in Columbia, South Carolina, Tennessee 78, South Carolina 59. Felix Okpara has 20 points off 10 alley-oop dunks. Love to see that. Goes for 8 rebounds as well. Jalen Carey didn't play too much, was in a bit of foul trouble. Amari Evans start in the place of Nate Ament, who was out with a high ankle sprain. Goes for 7 points. I think he's going to become a very viable scorer and defender in the upcoming years. Listen, Nate Ament, top 5 player in the country, coming out of high school. But I'll tell you what, these other freshmen on Tennessee's team are just as exciting. Troy Henderson, he's going to be extremely. I'm really high on him. Dwayne Brown's going to be really good. I'm really high on Amari Evans. I think that Bishop Boswell, he's a sophomore, but I think he has a tremendous upside as well. You get 22 points and 7 rebounds off the bench from J.P. Estrella. He played great. Jacoby Gillespie, 8 points, 12 assists. Realized he wasn't going to be a huge scoring threat. Didn't shoot well from outside. As a team, Tennessee only 4 of 14, but we're really good from 2-point, 54%, one of their highest of the year. And when you're out rebounding a team by 11, and that's just how it's going to go. And also South Carolina shot 37%. That's not going to win you many games. And they got 15 more free throw attempts than Tennessee. That's the more surprising thing. Heading down to Athens, where Georgia takes down Alabama 98-88. 26 points from LeBaron Philon, 19 from Latrell Reitzel, 15 from Aiden Holloway, and 12 from Aiden Sherrill. But you look, the rest of the team only gives you 16 points. Amari Allen, 1 for 7. London Jemison, 1 of 4. Taylor Bolbowen, 0 of 3. 1 for 4 from Jaleel Bethea. Houston Millette, 1 for 4. and some of these guys only played a couple minutes. Noah Williamson went out there for 10 minutes and pretty much just did wind sprints and picked up a foul and a turnover. Listen, Georgia causes teams problems the way they play, but if Cannon Catchings is going to go for 32 points, good luck. He is. I'm not even sure if I would consider him their number one option on offense. Looking at he's 4th in scoring on the team, so you typically don't expect a team's 4th scorer to go for 30 points. You even look at Alabama and their 4th scorer. Amari Allen, let's see his game high. He's had 23 this season, 25, but 30. That's insane, especially against a team like that. And then 4 of your starters put up double figures. Listen, when Georgia gets going up and down, they forced only 10 Alabama turnovers, but it was the rebounding that got them. They were able to out-rebound Alabama, and that's kind of how you do it. You get extra shots by rebounding. You force the other team from getting extra shots. And listen, I will preach this. Team that gets more shots typically wins games. I'll just say that. Texas Tech, after looking like the most unbeatable basketball team in the world for about 2 months, even after the loss of JT Toppin, falls to TCU. 73-65 our score there. Xavier Edmonds, 20 points, 15 from Micah Robinson, 14 from Jaden Pierre. A great showing from the offense from TCU. And the defense may have been more impressive. Lamar Watts, only 4 points. Jalen Petty had 17, Donovan Atwell, 19. Here's a big one, though. Christian Anderson, 11 points, 9 assists, 6 turnovers. I don't know if that's a season high, but I would have to assume he's actually had 6 turnovers in his last 3 games. Lucky that it didn't cost him. Typically, most of the games I've looked at haven't been high turnover numbers. The 21 point, 10 assists, 1 turnover game against Kansas State. He only had 3 turnovers to 8 assists against Arizona. He's a great passing guard. 13 to 3, against Oklahoma State, 12 to 3 against Utah. Puts up great assist numbers, but when you're turning the ball over that much and your starting lineup is combining for 11 turnovers, when the other team has 12 as a team, you're gonna struggle. Virginia gets back on the right track against Wake Forest, 75 to 70. DeRitter goes for 16. Grunlow for 12, Hall for 10, and Thomas for 11. I feel like I say almost the same thing every Virginia game. They score in the mid-70s. They'll hold the other team into the 50s to 60s. Wake Forest did get to 70 here, and then about 5 guys will score in double figures, but they really won't be anybody getting to 20. DeRitter averages 16 points and has only scored in the 20s, 4 times this year? 5 times? Had some good games, actually, really early in the year, but is pretty consistently set in the 15 to 20-point range. Grunlow has played really well as well, and that's 2 freshmen. From, DeRitter, I believe, is from Belgium, and I think Grunlow is from Germany. So these are 2 freshmen that aren't even from the United States. They're playing almost a new brand of basketball. But I'll tell you, this team goes as 2 players go: Malik Thomas and Chance Mallory. Mallory wasn't the most prolific against Wake Forest, which I think could be why it was such a close game. But if he can provide a spark off the bench, and I think that was more Jakari White in this game than anyone, Virginia can be a really dangerous team. North Carolina 67 at Clemson 63. And listen, this Tar Heel team has really, I think, it's not a good thing to lose your best player, but I think being without Caleb Wilson, while it has hurt their record and everything, I think has made this team stronger, because when he comes back, the team just gets that much better. Seth Trimble, 9 points. 9 points from Derek Dixon. Henry Vessar with 13 and 6. But the big story of this one, Luke Bogovac with 20 points off the bench, hit 6 threes, looked awesome, and a great win for the Tar Heels. And for Clemson, RJ Godfrey goes for 22. Carter Welling goes for 13, but nobody else in double figures, and you only got 11 points off your bench. St. John's 72, Georgetown 69, a great win for St. John's. Zuby Ejiofor goes for 23, 7, and 5. Had a triple-double over the weekend. Dylan Darling with 12 points, 15 points from St. Ona off the bench. I was really high on Georgetown coming into the year based off of a 10-point win over a bad Maryland team and a 5-point win over a Clemson team. But, man, I don't know if injuries derailed them, but as December turned into January, into February, they just hit a brick wall. Only 5 wins in conference play. It's been a tough year for the Hoyas. Miami, still perfect. 30-0, a 74-72 win over Toledo. Do they just are all their games this close? Can we get like a blowout for them? I think that's another reason that people are a little iffy on them with the tournament. But listen, Peter Suter is going to be a name that everybody is going to become familiar with when March Madness rolls around, unless Miami does the unthinkable and somehow misses the tournament. Peter Suter is going to be a name that you know. Antoine Wolfhook is another name you should know. It's a good team. Listen, you don't win 30 basketball games in a row on accident. I don't care if you're playing, because every single one of these games has been against a college, has been most of which have been against Division I schools. They do have a win over Trinity, which I believe is a D2 or a D3, but it's an 80-point win. A couple of every single one of these games has been against the college. All but I think 3 have been against Division I schools. They haven't lost yet, and I'm gonna ride that Red Hawk train until it crashes. I'm all on it. Florida. They're the best team in the SEC. The SEC tournament is who gets second, pretty much. Florida is the best team in the SEC by a lot. When was the last time they had a close game? Let's look. 108-74 over Mississippi State. 111-77 Arkansas. 84-71 Texas. 94-75 Ole Miss. A 13-point game to Texas. 14 to South Carolina. Only a 9-point win over Kentucky. You got to go back to January to find this team's last loss. A really confusing one at home to Auburn. But you look at Florida that game, they shot 37% from the field, 25% from three. You're not going to win many of those. But when Josh Everett scores 21 and your team scores 108, good night. I mean, the entire starting lineup in double figures. Chinyelu goes for 11 and 16. Xavier Lee, 19 points. I'm worried about this Florida team when they get to March because you got a bunch of guys that have a ton of experience. Again, no Thomas Houck in this game, but Alex Condon, national champion from last year. Ruben Chinyelu, national champion from last year. Hank Lockton didn't play a whole lot last year. Tried to come back. He was dealing with an injury that had hindered him the year before. But Boogie Fland, he came back and played for that Arkansas team that made it to the Sweet 16, maybe the Elite Eight. And then Xavier Lee was on that Princeton team that made a run a couple years ago and took down Auburn. So, he is a guy that's got NCAA tournament experience. Todd Golden has done an outstanding job with this team. We go back to around Thanksgiving. I had them, well, it may have been closer to Christmas, but I had some teams that I had were disappointing and some teams I had were surprising. I have Florida as a disappointing team because if you look at them, I believe this is early in January because I think it was after their first conference game because they had lost to Missouri. It was before the Georgia game, which is around the time they fixed everything. The team didn't look great. They were 9-5, had lost their first conference game to a Missouri team that I didn't think was very good. And your guards were pretty much just going out there and doing nothing. Now they're probably the best guard tandem and one of, if not the best guard tandem in the SEC. Because you could say, Arkansas, they got Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas. Well, Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas combined for 27 against Florida. Boogie Fland and Xavier Lee combined for 27, and their team won by 34. So, tell me who the better guards are. Florida and Kentucky Saturday, but Florida's already clinched the SEC, so that doesn't matter a whole lot. Illinois over Oregon by a lot. Arizona State upsets Kansas. I can't figure out Kansas. Are they good? Are they not? I mean, this Arizona State team is, no doubtably going to fire Bobby Hurley after the year. Man, Darren Peterson's hurting this team. You can't shoot 3 for 18. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that... I mean, Kansas shot 21 or 29% as a team. They took 72 shots. They out-rebounded Arizona State like crazy. They forced turnovers, but it didn't matter. They took 13 more shots and lost the game. I just preached that typically the team with the most shots is going to win, but it also hurts when Arizona State shoots 30 free throws and you only get 15. But they shot a higher percentage from there, so just a great win for Arizona State. Maurice Odom hits 5 threes, goes for 23 points, 19 points and 9 rebounds from Masamba Diop. Vanderbilt, an overtime win over Ole Miss, 89-86. Tyler Tanner goes for 34, 7 assists. He's an extremely fun player to watch. Duke Miles with 16, A.K. Okereke with 16. If they can get Tyler Nickel to around the 10 to 12 point, and Devin McLaughlin's going to bring down 15 rebounds, that's a good number. And when you can out-rebound a team a little bit, that helps. Cameron Dean with 14 points, 7 rebounds, 11 points and 3 rebounds from Malik Dia, 16 points from Peyton Pinkins, 14 from A.J. Storr off the bench. I just feel like this team puts 5 players on the floor and just tries to roll with it, and it hasn't worked all year. They're 12-18. And I was really high on Ole Miss coming to this year. I thought Chris Beard was a great coach, and he had brought in some great pieces, but very, very disappointing. UCLA somehow beats Nebraska by 20. UCLA has had the most confusing past couple of weeks of any team in the country, I would say. Up there with Cincinnati, and they would just went on a tear. 72-52, 39% shooting for Nebraska, and I can't even tell how this was a 20-point game. I guess it's off the three-pointers. UCLA hit 10 threes. Only 5 for Nebraska. Sam Hoiberg with 12. Most with only 11, but Bryce Sanford only going for 9. And you can't get much from Braden Frager off the bench. It's going to be a tough sledding. Nebraska is I believe the only Power Four conference. We'll throw out the Big East in this. I believe they're the only Power Four team that has never won an NCAA tournament game. I know they haven't. I'm not sure if they're the only one, but I know they have not won a game yet. You would think this year's the year, but that loss definitely a bit concerning. We'll just put it that way. Also, we will move to Wednesday, Arkansas, 105, Texas 85. You get 21 points from Volcatitis, 16 from Swain, and 18 from Mark. That's not enough. Arkansas, Brazil, Acuff go for 28 apiece. Acuff with 13 assists. I mean, that's incredible. Malik Thomas goes for 13. Just a great game for Arkansas, and they look good. Miami, a win over SMU. St. Louis over Loyola Chicago. Purdue, only a 4-point win over Northwestern, and Houston handles Baylor 77-64. Good game from Kingston Flemings, Emmanuel Sharp, and Milo Shuzan, as they literally scored every point out of their starting lineup. Good to see senior Ramon Walker Jr. get the start, and Soko for Baylor. Obviously, JoJo Tugler is going to start games for them. Chris Signac is going to start games for them. But I like getting the seniors out there at least to start the game. Walker only played 3 minutes, but just to get them out there and get their name said on senior night is a great feeling. Yesterday, Michigan 71, Iowa 68, a very, very close game, and Iowa's going to play close games, especially when Bennett Sturts is going to put up 21 points. 14 from Minowu, but really, Iowa's not going to be a big scoring team. Michigan isn't either. I mean, they can, but that was going to be a physical basketball game. And when Michigan controls the glass 38-25 and also forces 18 turnovers that was what kept Iowa in the game. Iowa forced 18 turnovers. Michigan only forced 5. And that's what Iowa does to teams, and Michigan's lucky they didn't get them there. Another team from Michigan lucky they didn't got. Michigan State 91, Rutgers 87. Scarlet Knights put up some serious points in this one. Tariq Francis 25, 14 from Leno Mark, Emmanuel Agabole with 13 points, and then 11 points from Caden Powers off the bench. A lot of production, but man, the big four really, and Michigan State starting lineup with Fears, Cooper, Carr, and Kohler went off. Jeremy Fears, not Jeremiah, his brother Jeremy, 21 points, 8 assists, 3 turnovers. Carson Cooper with 14 and 6. Cohen Carr with 21 and 6. A great game from Cohen Carr. And then Jackson Kohler goes for 15 and 7. A good win for Michigan State. Defense, going to want to lock things up, though, as we head to tournament time. So today we have St. John's, Seton Hall, 8 o'clock FS1. And thank you, ESPN2, for giving us a Miami versus Ohio game at 8 p.m. tonight. So finally, everybody can watch them, and maybe just maybe, they can blow Ohio out and prove how good they really are. Looking at some big games Saturday to really wrap up I guess Sunday is technically wrapping up the regular season, so we'll look at those as well. You got Vandy, Tennessee, Duke, North Carolina. 1 o'clock on ESPN, the Vandy, Tennessee, Duke, North Carolina, 5:30 on ESPN. Houston and Oklahoma State at 11 on CBS. Virginia Tech, Virginia looking to avenge one of their 4 losses of the year, 11 a.m. on the CW. Arkansas and Missouri, the first game of the day on ESPN. UConn and Marquette, 11:30 a.m. on Fox. Arizona State at Iowa State at 1 p.m. on FS1. Kansas State at 1 p.m. on CBS. Louisville and Miami at 1 p.m. on ESPNU. Florida and Kentucky, 3 o'clock on ESPN. Wisconsin, Purdue, 3 o'clock on CBS. St. Louis and George Mason at 3 o'clock on USA. Didn't know they did sports now, but I mean, I guess being a conglomerate of NBC would probably work it out like that. But I don't think I see a single game on Peacock, at least with ranked teams, which is great. And it looks like all of these are on TV, which is even better. The Iron Bowl of basketball at 7:30 on ESPN. Texas Tech BYU at 9:30 on ESPN. And then to wrap up the night, number 2, Arizona and Colorado at 10 on ESPN2. Now on to Sunday, our last couple of games of the regular season in the Big Ten. You have Illinois, Maryland at 2 o'clock on Fox. Michigan State at 3:30 on CBS, and then to round out the regular season, Iowa and Nebraska at 4 p.m. on Fox. So that will do it for this week's editions of the Mark My Words Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. Again, no show next week. I'll be at the beach with covering high school softball. I'll be back late next week, but I'm going to have high school baseball when we come back. It's going to be a ton of fun. So I would assume our next show will probably be, the 16th of March is going to be when we're shooting for. Hopefully we can get back on here before then and get you ready for all you need to know for the NCAA tournament. But just depending on things go, we may do a live March Madness kind of tournament bracket pick'em type thing. But again, that will be determined at a later date, so that will do it for this Friday edition of the Mark My Words College Sports Show here on the X Sports Network. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.